Okay, so now we're going to move on to a downwards chop. Now, this is one of my favourite moves because from here you can do a lot of techniques afterwards. So all we're going to do, we're going to start off, you're bringing the sword behind your head. Now from here, make sure you're not stopping it too early. It needs to go all the way back. That way when I'm chopping down, I'm getting a lot more momentum and it's much more of a realistic technique. Now obviously you've got to remember that when you're using a weapon, really it is meant to be a weapon, so we're using it for attacking or defending, etc. So when you do it, you need to learn the technique properly. So it goes behind here, not here, fully behind and chopping down. Now back to them front stances we did earlier. That's probably the best stance you can do it in. Front knees bent, back leg straight. From here, I'm chopping down to there. Now similar to what I said earlier, we need to make sure when we're going down, we're not over swinging it so we're smacking the mat and we're not stopping too early. We need to make sure we're committing for it, fully through, down to here. Okay, so we're not too low here, not too high that we've not really gone for the chop. Okay, so moving on from our downwards block, we're now going to do the opposite and we're going to go upwards. Now for this move I like to do a different stance, which is a horse stance. You can do whatever stance you want. Personally I prefer a horse stance, I feel it gets you more momentum and power through the technique. So remember when you are striking with the sword, you are hitting with the blade, okay? Make sure your sword is not the wrong way. Now with this technique, because we're striking up, there is a slight twist in your hand, so you are ensuring you are striking with the blade. So all I'm going to go from here is I'm going to step into a horse stance. Now all horse stances, from here, if you've never done a horse stance before, is I bring my legs ever so slightly more than shoulder width apart, my feet are facing forwards, I'm going to bend my knees and sit in this position. Now, you don't want your legs too far apart and your knees bending in, or too far apart that you're too low and that you can't get up quick enough. However, you don't want your feet too close and your knees bending over them like this. You want your feet and knees in line with one another here, okay? Now obviously if you don't want to do a horse stance, you don't have to, but I would recommend that of all the stances to do. So all I'm going to do from here is I'm going to go into my horse stance that I've just explained. I'm going to chop through to the side and up here, okay? Now as you can see, if you want to make it a little bit more dramatic, you can use your foot as a stomp there. So from here, goes past my side, I'm turning the sword by turning my wrists, then from there it's going up to this position. Now as you'll find, like I say, if you want to really emphasise it and make it a lot more dramatic, you can add a little bit of a stomp or a step. If you prefer to, instead of a horse, you can turn back into the front stance we did earlier. But remember, you really need to twist your hips because that's where you get most of the power from this technique. So from here, side, twist my hands and up. Remember, the blade should be facing upwards. Okay, so the last techniques we did were all strikes and attacks. We're now going to move on to some blocks. Now, when I do these blocks in a routine, I usually follow them from a strike. So I would go, for example, my strike into my block. Now, when we're doing sword, it's not always going to be attacking. You will be using blocks as well, because if it was a realistic situation, it wouldn't always be attacking. There would be defending as well. Now, when I'm up here, even though I am blocking, the blade still face upwards. Because let's say you were in a situation from here, if the blade was the opposite way and you gave way, you would be striking into your own arm. So remember, even when you're doing a block, the blade faces up. Now all I'm going to do when I'm doing it, I'm going to do both angles. In my front stance, in my previous techniques, like my chop, I've been doing it towards my bent knee. In this situation, the blade's facing the opposite way. So my knee's this way, but the actual blade is facing the way of my straight leg. That's the best way to remember it. So your leg straight and the sword straight in the same direction. Now from here, all I'm doing up, block, holding the sword at the ends like here, and then all I'm doing when I switch, I'm crossing my arms and switching my stance there. So it's not overly complicated. All you're literally going to do from here is cross my arms and switch. Remember, you can add that standstill in as you move it, okay? Now best way to do it and practice it, to try and get into a little combination, is to go chop, chop, lean back, block, and switch, block. Thank you very much for today. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope there's things you can learn from it.
I'm sure they have learned a lot. Don't forget to check out Megan Abel on meganabel.com or on her Instagram. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for your support. Team GNT. Peace.